Stretch, this is more of a yin style class. I think as many props as you have, useful, your choice to include them. Sometimes that means adding them in as you get into a pose for a while, and then sometimes it means taking them out. Just depends on what you need. So letting that your practice evolve and morph as you move through it. Our pose of the week is crocodile pose, makrasana, and so we'll do a little external hip opening, but we can get into, I've been really feeling a lot of good pigeons, kind of taking on different variations of it. So back, hips, we can do all of those things. If you have a playlist, you can start that now. If you saw on the Facebook group, I put one there, and then I'm just going to toss it in the chat box. So it's under my Spotify, Yintense. It's not really intense, but it was just like me playing with words, because what else is there to do? So we're going to get started. Makrasana is the pose. I'm going to have us get started right there. You'll have, if you'd like, a blanket laying in the middle of your mat so your hips can rest on top of it. The shape we're looking for is an external rotation of the hip. So your feet will go as wide as your mat if you're using one, and a little bit outside of your hip distance. And for some of us, that might be a little further. Some of us, it might be a little closer, but the toes are actually turned out. And then the fingers will interlace, and you'll lay your head or the back of your eyes on the back of your hands. So this will look a little bit like so. And the feet, of course, my blocks are right where my feet would be. And the toes are on. Maybe you wiggle the hips a little bit and feel that out before you settle in for stillness. This week we're focusing on Ajna chakra, the third eye, the mind's eye. So we're still in this season of Aquarius, the air sign. It's an inclusive sign, right? It wants to get perspective. It's future thinking, it's mental, and it's experiences. And so that's kind of how we can explore Ajna chakra for ourselves, the mind's eye, the mental clarity, to have vision. And one of those things that helps us in finding ourselves, seeing ourselves, is to slow down. We utilize this yoga practice to be, so we might see ourselves with more clarity. The moment at hand, our habits within it. The more we practice presence, right, over and over and over, it's like our sample size grows, the experiment, the exploration of our lives, and then we get curious about what we see. We don't have to judge it, we don't have to categorize it. So from this crocodile pose, again, the head is resting on the hands, the feet are as wide. Explore what the ground feels like beneath you. Where do you feel a sensation of stretching, maybe a sensation of contraction? As you scan the body, is there anywhere you don't really feel much of anything, like a numbness, a lethargy, a dullness? Then give yourself the next minute or so to just breathe. Feel the belly press into the ground as you inhale. If you can't lay on your belly, you can definitely just take a seated, legs apart, open posture here. So an opening of the hips, turning the toes out. And that could look just like this, where you're expanding a little bit, open of the hips, but in a seated posture. And then you can even lean slightly forward if you have a prop. Blocks, bolster, you can stack those up. Note the pattern of your breath. Is there a long inhale, short exhale? Do they feel fairly balanced or choppy, erratic? Maybe the first couple rounds you feel you're paying attention and it feels long and steady. The mind starts to wander. As you scan the body and you take note, we may hold, we may cling, we may breathe more rapidly. In these last few rounds, long if you can on the inhale and long on the exhale, trying to harmonize the breath. Take a nice big breath in and a full breath out, starting to rock the forehead a little. If you haven't already, against the back of the hands, stimulating that mind's eye space, that third eye. And then slowly, you'll just bring your feet together behind you, slide your hands under your shoulders, let your forehead find contact with the ground, maybe rock it a little here on your mat. That prefrontal cortex, grounding it into the earth. Take a deep breath in, fill the back of your lungs. And as you exhale, pressing up and back slowly to a child's pose. So take your hips back to your heels. See if you can make contact here again with the forehead to the ground. No big. If you can't, you can even stack your hands to make contact there. Let's just take 2 cycles of breath in and out. Fill up into the back of your lungs, low back stretching, mid back, upper back, into the neck. Exhale, allow your front body to soften. Your collarbone, your sternum, your stomach. A deep breath in and a full breath out. And slowly, you're just going to come on up to hands and knees, tabletop pose. And from here, let's just take our right leg back behind us. We're going to give our calves a stretch a bit. Just drive that heel back. Press the ground away with the hands and look forward. See if you can gaze with the third eye, closing the eyes, feeling yourself look forward from that space, forehead center. What do you feel going on in the body? We give ourselves less sensory stimulation. It allows us sometimes a little more focus on ourselves in the present. So getting rid of that sight experience, what do you feel? What do you see within the body going on? Inhale, let's lift that right leg up. As you exhale, let's take it over to the right, set the right sole down. And so the foot's in line with the knee. You just come on up to those fingertips if possible. You can turn the fingers out slightly, the wrist slightly in. Broaden the collarbone, the belly. You can even tilt that tailbone slightly up and look up with the eyes. And as you exhale, press the hips back, bring the palms down, back to your left toes. Inhale, come on up to your hands and that left knee, right foot. Like a slight cow, you can start to open the collarbone, arch the back. And then exhale, press back. Maybe forehead makes contact. Last one, inhale to come up. Broaden that collarbone. You can turn those right toes out. As you exhale, sink back, settle in. If you have a block, you can bring it here under your forehead to allow the head to find that rest space, that third eye. You can keep your forehead moving towards the ground. You might bring something under the forearms. If you're looking to move the stretch a little bit into a release for the back. So create what you'd like. We'll be here for not nearly as long as the last pose. Take that scan of your breath and your body once again. Where do you feel sensations? Are they intense? Are they subtle? Are you surprised? Starting to bring yourself into the moment. A willingness to see yourself as you are. Long breath in. Full breath out. And then slowly, just bring your hands in. You can walk your hands back and bringing that left heel out from underneath you, bring it towards that right sole. Okay, so you're sitting in a Janushirshasana variation, like one leg in the tree, kind of, and the other leg extended out long. And then you're gonna twist to your left. So right hand's gonna come to your left knee. Left hand's gonna go behind you. If you have that block handy, keep your spine tall and just maybe rest the left hand on the block. What do you notice about the pose here? What do you see? This week we've also been doing twists, and the idea that they give us perspective, full vision of our experiences. We don't actually have eyes right in the back of our head. But to see behind us, experience includes revolving ourselves, evolving ourselves, our ability to see. So twisting to your left, maybe draw the right shoulder slightly forward, the left shoulder back, broaden that collarbone, breathe into the length, all that you are, expand. And then exhale, let's twist it out. One more deep breath in, maybe moving that block or that left hand a little further behind you. And then exhale, bringing out. Slowly unwind. Turn towards your straight right leg, soften the right toes, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, fold. Once again, you can bring that block. This might feel really good on your back here. And if you settle into a taller version of this, letting the block rest under the head, it might mean stacking your blocks. But I encourage you to find a place to rest your forehead if you can, especially this week as we bring our attention to that third eye space, the Ajna chakra. Great job, everyone. Close the eyes where you can. If you can, focusing, how do you feel in this moment? Mentally, emotionally, energetically, physically, where are you feeling the sensations? Take 3 more cycles of breath. Trying to harmonize that breath. Long inhale, fill from low back to base of skull. Exhale, that same long, spacious breath. Filling up. And exhale, letting go. Slowly, you'll sit up tall as you breathe in. Just a nice little transition. We're going to work our way back to hands and knees. So you can just cross that right ankle in front of the left. Come onto your hands and knees. Maybe that includes taking some tail wags, the neck might need some love, right? Roll it out, take a cat-cow. A few deep breaths. Now you're finding a neutral spine for a moment, just feeling that out. And then eventually your exhale, you'll plant your left toes behind you, tucking them and reaching the heel back. You'll lift your left knee and then look forward. See if you can gaze forward with that forehead space and then close the eyes so you can turn inward. What do you feel beneath the palms of your hands? Where do you feel effort? Where do you feel ease? Where do you feel maybe nothing? Exploring the sensations, the stretch of the heel back, the reach of the heart forward. And then inhale, you'll lift that left leg up. You're simply just bringing that left leg over to your left, okay, setting the sole of the foot down. We come onto the tips of our fingers. We might even start to turn your fingers slightly out, okay, towards the corners of the room, edges of your mat, even further apart. Breathe in. As you exhale, let's press back. We did this 2 times. You can bring the palms down, rest the forehead. Inhale, you'll come up. You can broaden, maybe tilt that tailbone up, lift the chin up, and then exhale, press back. Last one, we'll inhale, come up. Exhale, press back. Finding a block if you like, even a blanket on top of it. As you rest, I know this one can be a lot as we're on our knee. The inner thigh stretch, so we won't hold it for quite as long. Notice any resistance for specific poses. This ability to think clearly, see ourselves clearly. When they say Aquarius, it's an intellectual sign. It doesn't have that emotional component to it. It tries to think with logic. The more that mental experience, right? Intellectual experience, not that emotions are intelligent, but what I'm saying is that how can we see this, this experience, what we avoid, what we cling to, without judgment, without casting it into a category. Take a deep breath in and a full breath out. You're just going to walk your hands in as you come back to seated Janushirshasana, or one leg extended, the right knee bent, sole to the inner thigh, and then twisting to your right. And once again, you might like that block underneath that right hand behind you, so you can keep your spine nice and long. You can spiral around yourself as you look behind yourself. Try to reach the left shoulder slightly away from the right. Notice how that feels in the body. Maybe close your eyes. Set yourself into the sensation. Take yourself into the collarbone where it's broadening. Take yourself into the gut where it's bringing it, contracting deeply. Notice where you're really exerting the effort and where you can soften up. Take that last round. Inhale tall. Even moving that right hand further to the left, technically, right? Further back behind to your left. Exhaling, and then inhale, you'll come through center. Turn your torso to that straight left leg, and just soften the left foot as you fold forward. So you're not in hyperflexion or really intense flexion in the left foot, just falling towards that left knee, bringing in the blocks Might mean sitting on a blanket. Make this work for you, what you need today, what you're observing, exploring, right where you are. Let's stick around for just a short while longer. If you can make contact somewhere with that forehead center, whether it's props or stacking, things on top. Hands on top of your blocks if they feel far away. Add that in, it's not necessary. Take a deep breath in, way into the back of your lungs. Fill, fill, fill. Exhale, soften into the fold, and then inhale, so slowly sit up nice and tall. You just take that right leg long, turn the toes in and out. You can tuck your chin in, roll right ear to shoulder, breathing steadily, bring left ear to shoulder. Do that one more time to the right, over to the left. Stopping in the middle, and then just gently lifting the head up. You're not sitting on a blanket yet, and you have one close by. I'm going to offer you to bring your blanket in, however tall you want it, but bring your butt, your hips to the edge of it so you can start to tilt your pelvis slightly forward. And then we'll bring the feet together for Baddha Konasana. We're not going to take cobbler's pose in full variation yet. And if you have a block or two nearby, I like to, I'll show you those here in a moment. So let's just bring that left hand beside your left hip. Okay, bring the right hand up to the ceiling. Inhale, reach your right fingers a little higher. Then we lift up the gaze, reach up with the forehead center. And then exhale, bend over to your left. Pull that right shoulder back, pull that left shoulder slightly down. Breathe in, breathe out. One more inhale. Feel the right ribs open. Exhale, feel the left side body soften. And then inhale through center, sitting up tall. Exhale, reach your right arm up, or your left arm up, so sorry. Left arm up. Breathe in, reach the left fingers a little longer, a little taller, and then use the exhale to bend to your right. Reach away from that left hip, reaching the left fingers a little more forward. Drawing the left shoulder away from the ear, the right shoulder away from the ear. Even look forward past that left hand, take a deep breath in. Soften the right ribs as you breathe out. And then inhale, sit up tall. We're going to now add in the side bend, a little bit of shoulder mobility. So left hand stays down, right arm reaches up, inhale. As you exhale, bend over to your left. Okay, be gentle. Try not to dump or sink into that left side. And reach the right arm a little bit behind you. Starting to look up. Inhale, draw that right shoulder back. As you exhale, look forward and down, draw that right shoulder towards the ground. Chin down. Inhale, looking up, drawing that right shoulder back. And then exhale, bringing it forward. Last one, deep breath in. Exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, reach that right arm up and back behind that your right hip. And then bring that left hand over to your right knee, twisting gently. Take a deep breath in, sit up tall. You can move that right hand a little further back and exhale, bring it out. Finally, inhale, you'll come through center. And then just move those knees a little bit. Give your weight, and I like to think like butterfly wings, just kind of give them a little flutter. Okay, inhale. Right hand lands behind you, left arm reaches up, and then exhale to bend over to your right. Let the right shoulder soften away from the ears. Reach the left arm slightly up and back. Look up. And then inhale, take that left arm back. Exhale, bring it forward. Look down. Notice where your vision, where you take it, how that affects the shape. Looking up and looking down. Taking the head, the gaze with the movements. Inhale, even encouraging the movements with the gaze. Exhale, last time you'll bring it forward. Then as you inhale, left arm's going to swim up and back behind you. As you exhale, right hand to left knee. Breathe in for length. Walk that left hand back. Exhale to twist out. And here you might start to press your feet a little bit together. Use your glutes to help with the twist. Breathe in for length. And then breathe out, slowly unwind. And finally, we're going to take this into a fold. You have the option to keep your feet on the ground, move them a little further away if you'd like now. You can set them on a block or stack blocks on top or do both. And slowly reaching your forehead towards your feet. Your hands can sweep under your forearms or your shins. Your hands cannot, maybe. Let's get the left hand to it. You can throw it under that left shin, that right arm's under the right shin. How deep you go into your hips, your glutes, your back is going to be up to you. How high your props come up, what you stop on, what's, you're creating for yourself. Be willing to see this pose in this moment. Explore why you're here, starting to get clear with that. Why you're taking the shape, what you want to do with it. Find your breath. We'll be here for a while. If you need to add props or take them out, feel free to do so, but try to do that with intention. It's easy to start with just like itching, scratching an itch, and then moving your hair, or adjusting your shirt. Rubbing the eyes. We want to bring that yin component, that stillness to it. So choosing movement very intentionally. Be able to see that slow down. Find your breath. About halfway done with this pose. I think one of those future-minded components, the clarity, the mental aspect of this season, this Aquarius season, the mind's eye, this mental clarity is to see some of the patterns that exist, right? And within ourselves and in nature, and that all things that begin eventually end. Our yoga practice teaches us that. You might feel this pose quite a bit. It might be really intense. You're like, I can't wait till it's over. Know that that will arrive. Maybe you're just really enjoying the shape, then make the most of it. Really be here with it. The true joy and the experience is felt in the moment at hand. It's not in the past, it's not in the future, it's right where you are. Last 3 breaths in and out. Take the breath way into the back of your lungs. Soften, let go as you breathe out. Deep into the hips, the low back. Last one. Exhale, let go of something you might be holding onto, clinging to. And then slowly lift up, sit up. You're on top of the blocks. Be gentle with yourself, helping yourself out. We were here for a while. Even if you weren't, gently bring those heels maybe a little closer to the groin. You might flutter the knees a couple times. And then just let the legs come out in front of you, shake them out. We're just gonna broaden the collarbone for a moment. So it's real fancy, it's just like a lean back, okay? You can turn those wrists out, lift the gaze up, press the hands down. Chin can lift up. You can even, so you broaden your collarbone and the top of your shoulders can create like a little pillow for the base of your skull. That might feel nice. Let your jaw soften. Breathe in and out. Notice where you feel this. You reach for it, cling for it, feels good. If you're feeling like you can't wait to get out of it. Exhale. And then chin will come forward as you breathe in, walking the hands in. As you breathe out, slowly coming up off of your prop. Okay, we're going to take pigeon pose. So sleeping swan in the yin style. I encourage all of your props, as many of them as you can get into the practice. My bolster is really far away from me right now, so I might not go get it, but I encourage you to go get your bolster or your pillow if you have it. We'll be here for several minutes. So setting it up, right leg. I like to think of a little soft support underneath that right hip. You might take your shin in that almost parallel with the top of your mat. I like to be more soft, so heel a little closer to the groin. Try to get the top of your left thigh and your left knee behind you. And then look behind you. Notice if your foot's just kind of splayed and it looks like your ankle's broken back there, put your toes back. Now, it doesn't have to be an aggressive point, but really starting to feel ourselves align. Now, if you've got the bolster, I'm going to suggest 2 blocks in front of your shin, that right shin parallel with the shin, and then the bolster will rest on top of it, and you'll just rest in this place where you can maybe even rest your forehead on the back of your hands. So your right glute and hips are supported. It may go, the blanket might go along the length underneath both hips, the front of the left thigh, the back of the right hip. And as you fold forward, you may go deeper into this with blocks, taking a subtle twist, snaking that left arm underneath. Okay, there's not any limitation to how you're doing this. We've been twisting all week long in Padavajrasana, and then this practice itself has had several twists. So take what you want. Listen to the intuitive experience, right? Get clear with how you're experiencing the moment at hand. Have this ability to see yourself truly as you are. Your body is this intuitive being, this experience. It's giving us this feedback, the sensations. Explore them. Give yourself, settle into your power. Make this your own. Notice the pattern of your breath, where you're feeling this. If you'd like to take this further into that right hip, you can walk the hands slightly over to the left, moving your bolster, your blocks over to the left, and gently letting that right hip drop further back. Notice any patterns in your breath. As you observe this moment, take the scan of the body. What's the experience? For the last 10 breaths here, choosing for yourself what you want to make of it. So getting real clear what you want out of this pose in this moment. Maybe it's to come up out of it. Maybe it's to take it on your back. Maybe it's to take some of the props out and go further into the stretch. Long breath in, full breath out. Long breath in, fill, way into the back of your lungs. Full breath out. And then finally, you'll inhale, walk those hands in, slowly sitting up tall. You can sweep your right leg in your left leg forward or your right leg back as you lay onto your stomach, or, I just want you to get supine or get prone. So laying down fully or on your belly or your back. And just take a moment, take it in. How are you feeling? What got stirred up? This idea that we move through our movements, our moments, our day-to-day lives, right? Moment after moment after moment. And we subconsciously assess what needs to be dealt with. We physically, emotionally categorize those things as urgent, necessary, right? We have to get through this. And certain things maybe emotionally we can't deal with. And so we just tuck them away. And one of those theories that we tuck them here into our hips, right? Into our tissue, we plant it into our bodies. A lot of our DNA is non-coding DNA. So our experiences, they settle into that. And then when we hold the pose for a while, especially one that works it maybe a little more intensely, we can start to trigger those memories, those thoughts, those emotions. We don't even know it. We're just dealing with it, or it's just kind of fluttering by. We're trying to practice our damn pigeon pose for 3 minutes. So give yourself a chance to let it settle. Let's take a deep breath in and a full breath out. A long breath in, and then exhale, just sigh it out. And a chance to start again. You'll come up to seated, hands and knees, move your props as you need, that left hip, left thigh. So this time the bolster and blocks can go parallel with your left shin. The deep bend in the knee is can serve us in these yin-like postures instead of that really active flexion and that shin moving more away from the left thigh. But that's a deep bend in that left knee while you fold over. So know that which one you choose, you can also change it intentionally and start to settle in. So this side might look a lot different. You might have learned something on the other side and you're like, oh, I'm gonna take that into consideration as you take this next side on. Be willing to see yourself, swerve, change course, and then give yourself a chance to settle in, making this side its own experience. If you want to get further into that left outer hip, you can walk your hands, move your props a little bit more to your right, dropping that left hip further back into the left. You may have taken the twist, threading that right arm underneath, revolving in this pose. You may not have, and you might choose to explore it. So be okay with both sides not looking the same. But we don't have to force a symmetrical experience. We're not symmetrical beings. Got your last 10 breaths here. Super intentional with them. Add things in, take them out. Take that long breath in, way into the back of your lungs. Exhale, let it out. Another deep breath in. Exhale, let it go. And so slowly inhale, you can walk the hands in. Once again, coming onto your bellies or your backs, just for a short moment to let this pose, let the dust settle. Take a long, deep breath. Feel all the way into the collarbones, the front, side, back, ribs all expanding, and then exhale, let it go. Let's take another deep breath in and exhale, let it out. Okay. And then a super gentle heart opener for us before we come onto our backs. You can take your bolster or your blanket, you can roll your blanket up or fold it up. How tall you make this is really going to be up to you for supported fish. I'm going to suggest along the length of your spine, okay? So your hips actually stay on the ground. How many props you have utilized is up to you, how tall you want to make this. Okay, this might even look slightly angular as well. You can have props underneath your bolster or your blanket. And with your hips on the ground, you can roll back. Now you have another choice here. If you want to open up the hips a little bit more, the front of the hips, you can bring the feet together and let the blocks rest under the thigh bones. Oh, yeah, this is like so good right now. And if you want this, it might feel right for you, it might not. I like to suggest laying the flat edge of the block against the leg instead of a firm edge, but you can definitely do it just with the blocks resting and letting it be. And you might not have them at all, okay? So the head is supported, the heart is open, the collarbone's expanding. We've done a lot of forward folding. So suddenly here we are, opening our hearts, bearing ourselves, opening up to the moment at hand from the front body. The soft, fleshy part of us, where our vital organs lay tucked away. So it's a very vulnerable pose. And then notice how you're breathing, what you're thinking, what you're feeling. Know that it's all valid. Little comfort in knowing you're exactly where you're supposed to be and exactly how you're supposed to be. You are not lacking. You are whole. And to see our wholeness, this practice asks us to come back to ourselves, to come back to the moment at hand, so we can see ourselves. A more clear vision. When the mind wanders off, just be gracious, be generous, come back with your breath. Be willing to evolve the shape. extend the legs if the knees are bend the knees or plant the feet. Add in props, take them out. We've just got about 10 more breaths here in this pose. You're like, done. I'm ready for Shavasana. Please feel free to take yourself there. If there's other poses you'd like to incorporate, happy baby, legs up the wall, feel free to add those in. You may choose to dim the lights, put on your socks, grab a blanket. Want to hold that space for you to take your long Shavasana. So if you're in this pose, you can walk your feet in and you can bend your knees and tip over to a side and take the props out from underneath you. And then any or all of the things I offered to you, you can do, you can take, create for yourself. I love a good inversion, so just even getting those legs vertical for 10, 15 breaths might feel nice at the end of the day. And then you'll settle into your Shavasana. Maybe that's that one of those blankets behind the back of your head, the blocks underneath the back of the hands, the edge of the wrists lining up to the edge of the block. As you take on this end of the practice, a culmination of everything that came before it, a place to let it all settle, choose it for yourself. Get real clear on what you want the end of this practice to look like. Once you find your Shavasana, take a scan. How do you feel? Energetically, emotionally. It's a mental chatter. It's your body, your physical experience. And with an exhale, just let it all go. Let the effort melt, the muscles, the bones, heavy. Let the breath be released, your natural flow of breath. Let the thoughts float one after the other. Start to come back to your breath. Notice the sensation of the inhale, the sensation of the exhale. And then allow that awareness to spread out to your hands and down to your feet and up to the crown of your head. Add movements. Expand, contract, stretch out, draw in. Holding your vision for the end of your experience, the end of this practice here with you at the front of your mind, bringing it with you as you work your way onto your side. And from your side up to seated. And finding a long spine, a nice, comfortable posture. And bring the palms together for Anjali Mudra. And then bringing the base of your thumbs to your third eye, your forehead center. Holding here with you this sense of unity, this union, where we come together as one with all things, all beings, past, present, and future. And willingness to see ourselves as an essential piece of what is. Bowing forward to seal your practice. Namaste.